Oh, that's an easy night for y'all. Y'all come here and box me up real quick, probably clip me, then go home.
As a business, I understand. I ain't gonna hate on the decision, but as a man
Your
and
pride
as
will
a
get in the way.
fighter with my integrity.
Jake Paul is now sparring with Shakur Stevenson as he prepares for his biggest test. Yet Gervonta Tank Davis to match Tank's explosive style and precision. Jake brought in Shakur, one of boxing's most technical fighters, to help sharpen his speed, defense, and ring IQ. With 5 years of professional experience behind him, Jake believes this new level of preparation will give him the edge he needs. Confident and disciplined, he's entering this fight, determined to silence critics and shock the boxing world by knocking out Davis and proving he belongs among the sport's elite.
To prepare for, like you said, a guy who is shorter than you, how do you find a sparring opponent to replicate something that obviously, there's nobody else out there that's Tank Davis? How do you prepare for a guy that's different stature-wise?
Yeah, no, we have world champions. Raymond Ford in the 130-pound weight class. We got Montana Lovin. Shakur Stevenson is coming in this week. So
Wow.
Just sparring against guys on their level and people who have, been doing this their whole entire lives. But we're really focusing on speed, and not as much on power. I'm not doing as much like weightlifting and all of that stuff. I'm actually trying to like lose some muscle so that I have less weight and so that my
Jake Paul's evolution from social media personality to professional boxer has been nothing short of remarkable. Through disciplined focus and countless hours in the gym, he has earned legitimate wins and respect from segments of the boxing community. Despite constant criticism, Jake continues to train with a hunger that mirrors that of seasoned veterans. His upcoming fight against Gervonta Davis represents not only his toughest challenge, but also his defining moment, a chance to demonstrate just how far his skills, power, and commitment have come.
Shock the world and even shock myself and show myself what I'm capable of.
When you picture how it goes down, is there something that you see yourself doing? Do you see yourself knocking him out? Do you imagine being victorious? And what would that mean for you? A guy, again, who has only been in this sport for a couple of years. You've turned it on its head. You've had a massive impact, clearly, in just a few years, but it's only been a few years. That's the bottom line.
No, exactly. This is my 5th year as a pro. And so I've had to progress faster than anyone else in the sport to be able to compete at this level and to be able to hang in there with these guys. But I do believe that I have the power and the offense to be able to walk Tank into a knockout like I've done with other opponents and set them up for it. And so I am fully confident in my ability, and I think it would be one of the craziest upsets in a long time.
Yeah, one of the craziest upsets ever, probably in many people's eyes. Well, I think I saw Cardi B just put a $250,000 bet down. It was a parlay, I believe, on Aspen all over Cyril Gahn. But then for Tank to beat you, have you seen that? And what do you think about Cardi B potentially placing a $250,000 bet here?
I didn't know.
I saw.
Adding Shakur Stevenson to his training camp marks a turning point in Jake Paul's preparation. According to Jake Stevenson himself, reached out to collaborate, signaling mutual respect between the two to simulate Tank Davis' speed southpaw stance and explosive movement. Jake has surrounded himself with multiple left-handed sparring partners. This approach allows him to adapt to angles, footwork, and counterpunch rhythms similar to Tank's. Jake's focus has shifted toward technique, timing, and conditioning rather than raw aggression. With Stevenson's elite technical input, Jake's unconventional style is evolving into something more refined, proof that he is taking his craft seriously and aiming to compete at the highest level.
Sparring, we got some great guys coming in. Some really experienced southpaws that are smaller. I think Montana Love is coming in. Shakur Stevenson wants to come in. Jermaine Ortiz. We're going to hit up Erickson Lubin, some of these guys. So we're just going to bring in a plethora of fighters that are fast.
Despite all the debates about celebrity boxing, the sport still carries its timeless allure, the thrill, the history, and the respect earned in the ring. The upcoming Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis showdown has reignited discussions across boxing communities. Worldwide fighter Brian Mendoza noted that opportunities like this represent boxing's evolution. If someone brings eyes and money to the sport, it is hard to argue with their presence. Boxing has always been both a sport and a business, and this matchup perfectly reflects that dual nature. In an age ruled by social media and shrinking attention spans, events like this keep boxing relevant, global, and commercially powerful.
Man, it's crazy, but people getting paid off of it.
Yeah.
So if he can call any one of y'all out and y'all can get that payday, I say go get it, baby.
You know,
I'm not mad at it.
For me, and I'm not. I got no. I'm not mad at this move at all for Tank Davis, but I think when it comes to boxing fans, there's an essence that comes with this sport, and it's an essence that hasn't been lost, unlike other sports. For an example, with football, we come from the hitting days.
Yeah.
Can't hit nowadays. You know what I mean? So boxing hasn't lost its essence. You know, they're trying to make it safer and all those sorts of things, but there's still this pureness to boxing that really doesn't exist in sports anymore, but it's still there with boxing. I think that's why people have such a problem with this kind of move from Tank Davis.
Is it more the heart? How do you guys feel being boxers?
Man, like once you hear the numbers, I'm like they're talking like I don't know the official one. They're talking about like 100 mil.
Oh damn.
Like, they're talking about these insane numbers. Like I'm gonna be like, don't take that. I'm not gonna tell another man not to take that type of check, especially for something like that. It's not on your official record. It's an exhibition. I'm not gonna lie here and act like I'm not gonna say yes to 100 million or something like that. But I do see exactly what you're saying about the essence of boxing. I wish they would kind of separate a little more because exhibitions have always been a thing. There's always been an argument.
Right.
But they're just selling it like a real fight almost.
Right.
So I think that maybe if we could create a better like distinction, more of a difference,
Right.
there might be less hate on it. But at the end of the day, man, I'm not going to tell Tank not to take that fight.
And I said this last year. I said create a influencer title. And let those guys fight over there in the influencer world. They can live the world and the life.
Jake Paul's alliance with Shakur Stevenson came as a surprise to many. Stevenson, known for his calm professionalism and traditional boxing pedigree, rarely associates with crossover fighters. Yet this partnership reflects the merging of old school technique and modern boxing culture. Fans initially viewed it as odd, but both men are benefiting. Jake gains insight from one of boxing's most technical minds, while Stevenson reaches a younger, wider audience. Their sparring sessions have been described as intense and highly focused. This collaboration blurs the line between entertainment boxing and elite-level training, showing how the sport continues to adapt and evolve with time.
Shakur Stevenson reached out to Jake Paul in support of him preparing for Gervonta Davis. Help me understand, what is the difference between Boots Ennis reaching out to Canelo Alvarez in support of his preparation for Terrence Crawford versus Shakur Stevenson reaching out to Jake Paul in preparation for his fight with Gervonta Davis? Tell me, what is the difference? I'll tell you what the difference is. The Ennis family actually had a relationship with Canelo Alvarez. Shakur Stevenson has no relationship with Jake Paul. None. We heard, oh, Boots is a sparring partner. How much you got paid for that? So now, isn't that also applicable to Shakur Stevenson? Is he not also a sellout? I don't want to hear anything about this fight. It's against a YouTube. It doesn't matter. No, Shakur Stevenson is an elite level fighter that is going to be a sparring partner to a YouTuber, and he reached out to him directly?
Following the announcement of Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson shared his thoughts publicly. While some assumed he supported Jake, Stevenson made his position clear. He sees the fight from both business and sporting perspectives. From a business angle, it is a massive event that brings attention and money into boxing. From a competitive standpoint, however, it does not fully align with traditional boxing purity. Stevenson chose neutrality, recognizing the event's marketing power. Without undermining Tank's choice to take it, his balanced approach reflects maturity, understanding that boxing today exists at the intersection of sport and spectacle.
Taking that opportunity, because this is prize fighting, right? It's about making money and securing your family. Can you fault them for that?
It's two sides of that. Like,
Okay.
it just depends. Like, as a fighter, just because I had a
Mm-hmm.
draw with somebody, for me, I may run it back. But in a business aspect, if you run it back and you lose to Lamont, and then the Jake Paul fight is presented, you may not make as much money, or the fight may not be as lucrative as it was before you lost. So, as a business, I understand. I ain't gonna hate on the decision, but as a man
Your
and
pride
as
will get
a
in the way.
fighter with my integrity,
Yeah, but isn't there a price for everything, Shakur? Like, even if you had a draw with somebody and you were offered 10 times more than you ever, I don't know what the number is, but it's a lot more than he's ever made. You think you might consider doing the same thing, right?
I would, but you gotta also realize I know that it's not going nowhere. Like the
Right.
fight ain't gonna go nowhere. Like because if I really believe in myself,
Right.
and I wholeheartedly think like if we fight again, I'm gonna win this fight.
That fight still be there around the
After
corner.
I beat this motherfucker, where you at?
Yeah.
The fight still there. It's not gonna go nowhere. But if I have a 50-50 thought process to
doubt.
where it's like,
Right.
yeah, I got doubt in my brain, I may be like, all right, fuck it.
Also,
Let's
in his
cash
case,
out.
case, it might be that he's tired of fighting anyway. He's leaning towards retiring
Yeah,
anyway.
let's cash out.
So he's just gonna get that.
Commentators across the boxing world are divided. Purists call the fight a marketing gimmick that risks overshadowing genuine competition, while others admit it injects new life into the sport. Ironically, even critics profit from the attention broadcasters. Promoters and rival fighters all benefit from the hype. This duality captures the modern boxing landscape where entertainment and competition coexist. The sport no longer survives on technical skill alone. It thrives on rivalries, personalities, and storylines that captivate millions beyond the ring.
For sure, there's a lot of people that switch over now. Everybody's like, oh, I've been telling y'all, Shakur. I know y'all have not. Y'all all been quiet.
They on the bandwagon
Do
now.
you actually, we talked to Virgil Ortiz, right? He told us that he be screenshotting a lot of the hate on Instagram to remember to maybe one day comment on their posts. Do you remember certain comments or posts that bother you?
I remember it, but like I'm not gonna screenshot it. What I do, I kind of like if I see something, I be ready to argue it or go back and forth, but I get up and run.
But I'm
like,
talking
fuck it,
about
I'm gonna
Get
go
up and run.
run 3 miles.
It motivates you.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm
for
talking
sure.
about like somebody that you know in the boxing industry that you respected, that you kind of was disappointed, like, damn, like
Everybody, except for the people that's like right there with me, like the Bud Crawford. He's somebody who kind of stay with me throughout everything, and I think he's one of the realest people in the sport of boxing. But everybody, I feel like everybody just said, fuck
like
it.
commentators, people that hold shows,
And
or
people around me started moving different.
Like
everybody,
friends?
bro. Everybody,
really.
everybody.
So you had to cut some people off.
Yeah, yes. I cut people.
People
off.
you thought were friends.
Yes.
When you say moving different, what do you mean?
I ain't gonna like go into detail because I ain't gonna need to put everybody on the spot. But a lot of people start looking at me different. You know, social media make people think a certain image or certain things about you. Like people I walk into every day, like, bro, I know you. I've been around you for years. You know me. So if you know me, how you feel as though that you gonna go and look at me different or treat me different than what I was already was. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, what did Turkey say after that win, like on a personal conversation? Did he say anything to you?
Nah, he just said, good job. We're gonna get you on in next.
Former UFC champion Daniel Cormier weighed in with a blunt critique calling Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis a spectacle rather than a real challenge. He believes Tank has nothing left to prove his legacy and financial security are already established. To Cormier, this fight feels unnecessary, yet his comments also expose a deeper divide among combat sports veterans. Some embrace the crossover appeal, while others see it as diluting the sport's essence. Ironically, criticism like Cormier's only fuels more intrigue and headlines amplifying interest in the event he dismisses.
90. Dean, that's bad. Because you know what that tells me? That tells me that even he recognizes that he's too big for him.
Yes.
He recognizes that he's too big for him.
I'm wondering how this even came about. It can't be that Gervonta Davis needs money. That can't be the reason why
He's been a world
taking this fight.
champion so recently. How could he be broke?
That's what I'm saying. Like, is he doing this for money? And then why and how is even Jake Paul doing this when no one respects it? Like, I can't think of anybody that respects this.
But Jake Paul has been able to carve out and make his own lane in boxing, and I've never seen anything like it, bro. He literally, I mean, We don't know what weight class he fights in any situation. We just don't know. He kind of makes his own rules.
He makes his own rules.
And it seems like people are playing by those rules. I remember a couple weeks ago, the WBC and the Jose Suleiman was very upset that he wasn't going to be able to put the belt on the winner at Canelo versus Crawford. That's the thing that's happened since the beginning of the time. Those guys are very powerful in boxing. But with Zuffa boxing, it was almost like that power was getting stripped away. They were very disappointed. But how can you take those sanctioning organizations seriously when they are sanctioning this?
That's my point. That's why I think that this whole thing that we have, this boxing and this MMA argument and Zuffa getting into boxing, our argument is misplaced because things like this should not be happening. And the fact that boxing is allowing this to happen is an embarrassment to the sport.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I talked about this before. Like, I didn't know why they were fighting because, I mean, Gervonta Davis's last fight was at 130.
Within boxing circles, fans still view a potential Shakur Stevenson versus Gervonta Davis showdown as the true test of elite skill. Both men embody pure boxing brilliance, footwork, defense composure, and IQ. A meeting between them would represent the sport's finest form of craftsmanship. Jake Paul may draw global entertainment value, but Stevenson versus Davis carries the essence of boxing artistry. That contrast matters. It proves the sport can balance spectacle with authenticity. True fans still crave mastery as much as hype.
2 belts. We have Tank to get a couple of the belts, and you have a undisputed fight for those two in Las Vegas, in America, between 2 American guys getting undisputed championship of the world. That would be a mega fight. And we're talking about 2 guys that you have the most dominant, persistent, powerful guy, pound for pound powerful guy, I should say, in Tank, who also is very good defensively. But then you're fighting the best defensive fighter in the entire world, in my opinion. That is a fight I would love to see happen. I would be a big fan of, but I think if we could let that kind of fester and develop for a little bit, and we get that fight, summertime next year, fall of next year, where this is an undisputed fight, I think that's the fight we would love to see happen. I would be all for that. And I think it's realistic. Like I said, I don't think Tank's losing to anybody except for possibly Shakur, and I don't think Shakur's losing to anybody except for possibly Tank.
Former champion Tim Bradley recently offered his perspective on Stevenson's path forward. He suggested that Shakur does not need to chase a fight with Gervonta Davis unless it truly benefits his legacy. Stevenson already holds world titles and respect. Strategic choices now matter more than rivalries. Bradley's comments highlight how elite fighters must balance timing, legacy, and opportunity. Meanwhile, the rise of crossover boxing with figures like Jake Paul adds a new economic and cultural dimension. To the sport, purists may resist it, but the numbers do not lie. These events attract millions of younger viewers who might never have tuned in. Otherwise, in many ways, boxing's survival in the digital age depends on personalities who bridge the gap. Between athletic competition and entertainment, Jake Paul's journey, therefore, is not just about self-promotion. It is a reflection of how boxing is adapting to a new era of media business and global attention.
So on and so forth. So, with that being said, why even want to entertain a fight with Tank Davis? I mean, how much credit are you going to really get, Shakur, besides the money, right? That's what Tank brings. He brings interest. He brings a lot of fans in the seats, But as far as legacy goes, if people are holding Tank at a very low status, what, do you need him? Do you really need him? How you doing, man? Good morning. Do you really need him? Because I personally don't think that you need him. Shakur, you should be here to create your own legacy. You're about the competition. You are about that bread as well. And I think it's important for you to really look at the landscape, man, of boxing and see where your big money fights are, besides Tank Davis. As you know, you hear through the grapevine, I think he even told you on X that, he's contemplating retirement after this Jake Paul fight. You're getting ready, hopefully, if Teofimo Lopez signs the contract, Shakur, to be fighting Teofimo Lopez, who has accomplished quite a bit in the sport, man, and has been in the ring with some legends, Josh Taylor, also Lomachenko. I think that type of fight makes sense. You know, going up to 140 pounds, getting it.
That's for today video. Subscribe for more.